Graythorn Prison slept under a bruised sky, its floodlights flickering like nervous eyes. Inside cell 9, Elias Ward traced a coin with his thumb, a coin no richer than rust, no heavier than a lie. The guard said he'd been whispering to it for days. When the warden asked what it meant, Elias only smiled and said, "It's not the gold that shines, it's what it remembers." The guard laughed. The next morning, Elias's cell was empty. Only the coin remained still warm. Elias Ward wasn't born a prisoner. He'd built his own cell long before Graythorn's gates closed on him. Once a treasurer for the city council, he was the kind of man who measured honesty by weight, not words. His ledgers had been cleaner than the mayor's promises until the gold shipment vanished. They called it the Purity Fund, a donation drive for the city's collapsed orphanage. $2 million in bullion, gone overnight. The paper said Elias had fled with it. He hadn't. For 7 years, Graythorn's stone walls had been his courtroom, and guilt his warden. No one visited. No lawyer appealed. Only one thing kept him breathing: the belief that truth, like gold, could be buried but not destroyed. At night, he would sit by the slit window, feel the air hum against the bars, and whisper, "The gold remembers." The letter arrived on a Thursday. No stamp, no signature. Just a folded piece of yellow paper slid through the meal slot. The message was short. "They're selling the orphanage tomorrow. The children are gone. But the gold isn't. It's where you left your name." Elias read it again. His hand shook not from age, but from recognition. Only one person knew that phrase: "Where you left your name." 7 years ago, before the scandal, he'd hidden a single gold coin beneath the foundation stone of the orphanage's gate, a token to remind him that every honest act needs proof. That was the day the shipment vanished. He pressed the letter to his chest. There were 2 choices: forget or follow. That night, the storm broke over Graythorn. By dawn, the guards found the bars of cell 9 bent, not broken, just opened, as if someone had asked permission first. The city had changed. The orphanage was a construction site now, swallowed by cranes and dust. Elias walked the edge of the fence wearing a guard's stolen jacket, his eyes fixed on the past that refused to die. He found the gate post, the one with the faint engraving of his initials, E.W. The workers had chipped it down halfway. Beneath the remaining concrete, a faint glimmer shone. He dropped to his knees, fingers trembling through the dirt. The gold coin still lay there, wrapped in old linen. But when he unrolled it, something else slipped out: a small metal key. Stamped into the handle were 3 numbers: 412. Graythorn's oldest storage room. The one that had been sealed since the year he was imprisoned. Graythorn hadn't forgotten him. When he returned, the guard tower lights blinked once, as if in recognition. Elias slipped through the delivery tunnel that ran under the mess hall, a passage built for maintenance, but used decades ago for escape. Room 412 sat at the far end of the basement corridor. The padlock was ancient, but the key fit. Inside, the air smelled of oil and damp paper. He lit a match. Stacks of wooden crates filled the room, sealed with wax and stamped property of the Purity Fund. His knees weakened. It was all here, the missing gold, untouched. But on the nearest crate, something unexpected. A framed photo. It showed him standing beside the mayor, both smiling. And in the reflection of the glass, a third figure, a boy with sharp eyes, half hidden behind them. He turned the frame over. A line was scratched into the back. "You taught me how to hide the truth." I just learned it better. The boy in the photo was Mason Vell, his old apprentice, the one who'd vanished the same night as the gold. Suddenly, the door behind him groaned. Footsteps echoed. Elias blew out the match. A voice, older now, filled the dark. "Looking for your legacy, old man?" Mason stepped into the light of a flashlight. He wore a guard's uniform, badge glinting. The years had been kind to him. Too kind. "You framed me," Elias said, his voice steady. "No," Mason replied. "You framed yourself. You just didn't sign it." He tossed a folder onto the floor. Inside, copies of Elias's old ledgers. Edited. His signature forged. Enough to damn him forever. Mason knelt, fingers brushing the crates. "You called it the Purity Fund. I called it an investment, but now the city's selling this place. And you? You're just a ghost that kept my secret clean." Elias's hand closed around the coin in his pocket, the same coin he'd once buried, his gold wish. "What did you wish for, Elias?" Mason sneered. "Redemption or revenge?" Elias didn't answer. The match burned out again, leaving only the sound of metal scraping against stone. The fire alarm shrieked through the corridors. Elias had pulled it. In the chaos, lights flashed red, and the basement filled with smoke. Mason shouted, "You'll die down here!" "Maybe," Elias said, "but so will your truth." He smashed open a crate, gold bars spilling like silent thunder. Each bore the city's emblem, the weight of stolen innocence. He picked one up, felt its heaviness. "Funny thing about gold," Elias said. "It remembers who touched it first." He shoved the bar into Mason's chest. "Hold on to it. You've earned it." Then he turned, dragging the key from the door and tossing it into the burning crate. Flames caught, crawling up the wood. Mason lunged, but Elias blocked him, the firelight painting both their faces, one desperate, one resigned. Elias whispered, "The gold was never mine to keep, only to curse." A beam cracked overhead. Smoke swallowed everything. The sound of falling metal echoed like applause. When the guards arrived, room 412 was an inferno. They found Mason unconscious near the door, gold bars melted into the floor. Of Elias, there was no trace. Days later, while the ashes cooled, the warden received a package with no return name. Inside Elias's coin, now blackened by fire. Taped to it was a note. The prisoner's gold wish wasn't for freedom. It was for truth to cost what it's worth. Across the city, headlines called Mason a hero for discovering the stolen fund. But in the official records, there was a single discrepancy. The number of gold bars recovered didn't match the original count. One was missing. At the old orphanage site, a child playing in the dirt found something glinting beneath a stone half melted, marked with the faint letters EW. That night, a new plaque was mounted at the orphanage gate. No dedication, no donor. Just 3 engraved words. The gold remembers. And somewhere beneath a sky bruised by history, the wind carried a whisper, half promise, half confession. The prisoner's gold wish finally came true.